is that students will be able to find the length of the hypotenuse using the Pythagorean Theorem. Okay, so we're going to be learning what the Pythagorean Theorem formula is, and then how to apply the Pythagorean Theorem to right triangles. If you need to finish copying that down, go ahead. Otherwise, I'll be moving on to the next slide. Okay, what is the Pythagorean Theorem? Okay, the key down here is the Pythagorean Theorem only works for right triangles. So it does not work for every triangle, only right triangles. So when you look at a triangle, you got to identify your right angle. Okay, the two sides that make up the right angle, which I have labeled side A and side B, which are interchangeable. It doesn't matter which one's side A and which one's side B. Those are called the legs. So the legs of the triangle create the 90-degree angle. Okay. The other side, which is side C, is called the hypotenuse, and that's the side opposite the 90-degree angle. Okay, so the hypotenuse is the side opposite the 90-degree angle is C, and that one has to be C. A and B are interchangeable, but the hypotenuse must be C. Okay, the formula that we can create is that A squared plus squared equals C squared. So that is the formula. That's Pythagorean's theorem. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. And what that's telling you is that if I take side A and turn it into a square, and I find that, and then I take side B and I turn it into a square and I find that area, and side C and I turn that into a square and find that area, if I add up area A with area B, that equals area C. Okay? So that's what that formula is telling you. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. A and B represent the legs, the two sides that create the 90-degree angle. C represents the hypotenuse, the side opposite the 90-degree angle. Okay? Make sure you write down all those parts. If you need to pause, go ahead. Otherwise, I'll be moving on to my example. Okay. Example 1. Find the hypotenuse. Okay, so we're going to find the length of the missing side, and we're going to round our answer to 1/10 of a foot. So pay attention to what you need to do with your answers, because there might be a couple different ways that I want you expressed. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is to show our work is you're going to write down your formula. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. Then I'm going to substitute in my sides. So here's my 90-degree angle. So I'm going to do 478 squared plus 212 squared equals C squared. Okay, order of operations tells me to square each one of these. So that's 22884 plus 212 squared is, again, also a large number. And that is 4944 C squared. Add those together. Okay, 228484 plus 44944 and equals 273428. Okay. Now the last step, because I don't know what C squared is, okay, area of that side length C is, I want to know what the length of it is, so then I have the root of each side. Square root of C squared is C. Okay, and then I do the square root of that very large answer, which I want to round to the nearest 10th, and I get 522.9. Okay, so my answer is 522.9 feet, rounded to the nearest 10th. So that would be my approximate distance of C right there, 522.9 feet. Okay, now finding the hypotenuse can be useful in a lot of different construction things where you have right angles and you want to find the distance between of those lines that are create those right angle. Okay, so this is used a lot in construction and with houses and trying to find distances and roofs. You know, when you build a roof, you got an angled roof there. You need to figure out what that angle is. So a lot of work to figure out those different side lengths and stuff to connect those pieces. Okay, all right. That's example 1. If you need to, moving on to example 2. All right, example 2. We want to find the length of. I have my right angle, so I have one leg. I want to find that. And in my directions, I want to express my answer as a simplified radical expression. Equals C squared. 10 can go in either place, okay? Doesn't matter if you put it in for A or B, so I'm going to do A squared plus 10 squared equals 12 squared. Square both the numbers. a squared plus 100 equals 12 squared is 144. Now I have the variable, and so I have to solve this by subtracting 100 from both sides. That gives me a squared equals 44. Okay, I don't want to know what a squared is, I want to know what a is. Root of both sides. This one says write your answer as a simplified radical expression. A equals, and then I have to figure out, well, I'm going to do some side work over here to figure out what 44 is. Well, that would be the square root of 4 times 11. So the square root of 4 is 2. So that would be 2 to the square root of 11. Oops. Okay, so my final answer would be 2 to the square root of 11 inches. That is the length of that missing side, 2 to the square root of 11. Okay, remember when you expression, you want to break it down into products that are perfect squares. Use as many perfect squares as you can. Okay, if you are done copying down example 2, to our last example, example 3. Okay, in example 3, we're going to identify a right triangle. So this one you're just testing, is this a right triangle, yes or no? Okay, now I haven't told you what side is which, so it's important to know that the hypotenuse is the longest side. Okay, the hypotenuse is the longest side in every right triangle. Something that you need to know. So when I plug this in, I'm going to do 3 squared plus 5 squared equals 7 squared. I must square, so that's 9 plus 25 equals 49. 9 plus 25 equals 36, which does not equal 49, so this is not a right triangle. Okay, in order to be a right triangle, they would have to have the same value on either side. Let's try B. So my longest side is 17, so there's my hypotenuse. So I'm going to do 15 squared plus 8 squared equals 17 squared. 15 squared is 225 plus 8 squared is 64 equals 17 squared is 289. Add those up, I get 289 equals 289. Since that equals each other, this is a right triangle. Okay, so 8, 15, 17, that is a right triangle. Okay, so this answer was no, and that answer was yes. Okay, if you need to write down, watch anything again, go ahead. Otherwise, have a great night.